This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. Hi, everyone. I'm Amber, and today my fabulous co-host is Dr. Heather Rogers. She is a board-certified dermatologist. She's still practicing and seeing people every day in Seattle, and she's the founder of Dr. Rogers Restore Skincare. Now, thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. Rogers.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we met because I was hosting a New Beauty Live piece and, one of your products was featured, but I loved it because you and I got to have a little bit of banter and meeting. And I think that we kind of bonded on the fact that both of us really feel like there is a lot of, for lack of a better term, bullshit in the beauty industry. And I know recently I've had so many of my girlfriends call me and say, how do I get rid of freckles? How do I do this? And I'm like, well, do you want results? Do you want to, because then you need to, or do you want something that's going to kind of work and make you feel better about it?
Completely.
So first of all, where are you right now? It looks like you're at summer camp.
I know. So I am up in the San Juan Islands. I married a man from the San Juan Islands, and
Nice.
we pretty much everything for summer was canceled because of COVID. And my husband and I are both doctors, so we're still seeing patients every day, and that makes it so the kids really aren't having the kind of summer that they should be having. So we have taken a couple of days off and are going to go boat camping, which is not necessarily my first choice of activities, but I am a really good sport.
Oh, I love boating. I really do. My husband can't deal with it. We keep Bonine, really, really close by, but I love being out in the water and, taking a little dip. And I actually saw when we did our meet and greet, you had shown me, via Zoom what the San Juan Islands look like. And oh my gosh, when travel is starting up again, I'm heading out there. It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I love being on a boat. It was actually really funny. I just had my birthday, which I was actually with you on. And I got an astrological reading as a birthday present from one of my best friends. And I am deficient in the water sign, which means that I am really drawn to the water in my entire life. Like I sailed all through college. I'm a scuba diver. I'm a boater. I'm a surfer. And I was like, it was just a really fun sort of explanation where I was like, oh yeah, I need water at all times because I'm way too fiery. So
All right,
it was a read.
Who did your reading?
So again, because you can't really have parties. One of my dear friends had a group of 5 of us, and they brought someone in, and we all wore masks, and she sat and read all 5 of us. And
Nice.
and it's just, we're trying to find fun right now, right? You can't go out to dinner, you can't go to the broad, so we're just what are fun things we can do? And this woman was so thoughtful and careful in how she said things. But she still was so crazy accurate, where she's like, wow, for me, Heather, you are so busy. You need to calm down. You did. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of my life. You're exactly right. So it was great. And another woman who is a big rock climber, the third thing she said to her is you have a compulsion to touch rocks, out of nowhere, these sort of really accurate things, which are really fun.
So first of all, I'm obsessed with astrology. I live for this woman, Susan Miller. I don't know if you know her.
No, but I will find her.
My mother used to fax my tarot card readings to me at work. Yeah, I know. But I love it. And I read my horoscope every day. And I do believe that there are these cosmic, that we're all sort of connected cosmically. And so, it's a good thing to be aware of. But I would love having a reading is such a great idea for a birthday.
It was super fun. And then to really show you how ridiculous I am, it was just my anniversary. And so I had her do another reading for the relationship for my husband and I and our kids. Because I was like, why not? It's fun.
Nice.
So we just did that. And my husband was super skeptical, but then he got a lot of positive accolades from it. And he was like, oh, this is great. This is spot on.
Good. All right. So it was a positive reading then.
What
would you do if she was like, you know what, you got to get out of this? What do you do in that situation?
Well, so it was funny, unrelated, but another person was reading palms for my husband, myself, and my brother-in-law. And she read mine and she read Matt's, my husband's. And then she got to Brian, my brother-in-law's, and was like, I can't tell you what I'm seeing. I can't share it with you.
That is
scary.
That's scary. I had my tea leaves read once, and the woman told me that this was a really good life for me, because in the past I've had some really terrible ones. So I'm like, I'm going to make the most out of this one then, sister.
You know what's coming next, right? Oh God.
Oh my goodness. Well, again, happy birthday. And, like I said, we really hit it off because I feel like, there's so much confusion when it comes to the beauty market. And that's part of the reason that I started this podcast is, to give people, experts like yourself, a voice to come on and help us figure this out. And, in a way that wasn't being paid for or sponsored or branded, which, look, there's a place for that. And we all understand it because it's a business. But I wanted to see, is there a place where people can come on and tell it like it is?
And I love that you're doing that because it's exceedingly rare. And sort of same thing with me in the world of dermatology is that I have been approached many times every year about being a spokesperson for or being on the board of different companies, skincare companies, beauty companies, injectables. And I have decided, and I decided a long time ago, and everyone says I'm overly principled, that I was not ever going to be paid to recommend anything. And that I wanted my opinions to be my own based on the research I've done, on the training I've gone through. And in the dermatology world, that's exceedingly rare.
Right.
Of the top 100 dermatologists in this country, particularly the aesthetic dermatologists, everyone is being paid for something, being on a board or doing a study or whatever it is. And it's really hard to be objective there. And I just have decided that I will be the defender of the consumer. That is sort of how I have viewed myself. And I'm in a lot of articles, and a lot of the press sort of enjoys me because I, like you, speak the truth. They're like, ooh, you want to hear about like what snail extract does for you? Call Heather. She'll
right.
And like, I love that. I love the fact that now I am known as the voice of reason, where I think there is very little reason. And that's how I started. And then unfortunately, as I sort of learned more and more about the skincare products that were out there, the more I realized that even though it is $100 billion industry, what we may need may not be what's available. And so that's actually the reason why I made the skincare company. It didn't start as me wanting to make a brand. And I actually sort of talking about wanting to stay very objective. It's very hard for me to recommend my products because they're mine. And I feel like that's a conflict of interest. But at the same time, I'm not a chemist, but I was compelled to do this because after someone spent $2,500 on me CO2 lasering their face, I couldn't tell them what they should use afterwards that was going to be safe and effective. And like that, I found remarkable. And so that's the reason why I started my skincare company. And primarily, these are all the products that people use in my office after procedures. So it's after you get a biopsy or stitches, like how do we minimize scarring, but also then after a CO2 lasering or IPL or whatever it is, what are the products you can count on?
Right.
And sort of what your girlfriends are asking you and what you and I are talking about is that when you are a consumer and you're looking at the hundreds of thousands of options out there, you really have to sort of decide what group you're in. Are you in the person who can afford what's going to make the biggest result and you're outcome driven? Or you really want to pick things that are environmentally friendly and like safe for your body and the world we live in? Or are you really worried about, is this going to be irritating? Do I have super sensitive skin? And to me, there's sort of three very different groups. And even in that, I would say of those three groups, really only 2 or 3% of the products out there are worth you spending money on or using. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's really what it comes down to.
So before we get there, I mean, would you be in agreement with me? Like when we're talking about results, I've said it on this podcast a number of times. If you need a facelift, you're not going to find it in a bottle. If you have severe sun damage, no cream is going to totally erase it. It's not that you can't get some level of improvement, but I think that one of the things as consumers we need to remember is like, what are the results that you want? And so when people come to you and ask like for, we see creams that are, $200 and I see creams that are, $5. How do we know, is more expensive always better?
Never. So great question. So two really different points. And so first of all, in regards to outcomes, For looking good for a long period of time, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint, and it is not even. It doesn't matter if you get a facelift. It doesn't matter if you do the most invasive procedure. At that point, the aging immediately starts the next day, and you got to get back on the horse and you got to start taking care of yourself again. So for my patients, for people in general, I'm like, you see your dermatologist 4 to 6 times a year. And that is a little bit of Botox, it's a little bit of filler, it's a little bit of lasering, not too much of any of those things or else you're going to look weird, but a little bit sort of constantly slows the aging process. At home, you can also slow the aging process by using very specific products that have been shown to help. And those are vitamin C serums in the morning that have antioxidants in them that protect you from the sun and radiation in a way different than sunscreen. It's good sunscreen every single day, rain or shine. And it's using something that promotes cell turnover at night, which can be like a retinol or like glycolic acid or an alpha hydroxy acid. Right. Those have data to support them. So if you want to do things that are going to help your skin, vitamin C serum every morning, sunscreen every morning, turnover every night. Outside of that, to be able to tolerate those products, you do need to moisturize and protect your skin. And that's the reason why washing your face and moisturizing your face are important steps. The problem is when you add too many ingredients and too many steps, it actually irritates the skin's barrier, and makes it so you can't get the benefit from these expensive products that you're using. And that's what people have to understand is more, meaning more products isn't better, more meaning more ingredients isn't better, more meaning more money isn't better. Like those are not how you should sort of choose your products.
I want to go back. I feel like one thing that you also said too was, you see your dermatologist, and I just want to stress to everybody that you should be going to a dermatologist and asking them these questions. Have a relationship with your dermatologist who can advise you on products, on treatments, on combination of things. I write to my dermatologist everything. When I had the flu, when we got COVID, and I'm like, do you think this is it? I lost my sense of smell. Who did I call? My dermatologist. He's the best. But having that treatment plan in working with the doctor is really important. And also, a bunch of my girlfriends called and were like, what do I do for sunspots and freckles? And I was like, well, I like IPL. I mean, you're the doctor, so you can talk about, but I said, here's the thing though, you can't go back out in the sun. Like, and one of my girlfriends was like, ever? And I said, well, no, but just know that if you go back out in the sun, and especially now, and you're not using sunscreen every single day, they're going to come back. That those brown spots, that sun damage is going to come back.
Exactly. So once you make a brown spot, that area of your skin wants to make brown. So you can clear up the brown that it's made, but you can't take away the propensity to make that brown.
Right. Okay.
And you're exactly right. And so I have people who are like, oh my God, I have finally cleaned up my stuff. I'm not leaving the house without a hat and sunscreen. And then I have patients who are like, Heather can fix it. I'm going to come see her every fall and she's going to clean me up. And like, to each their own. Like I joke that I've uniformly ruined the sun for every single one of my patients between skin cancer and lasering things off. But you can go and get tan. I don't encourage it, and it will age you. But for some people, that's important to them. And we still can make their skin look significantly better, but they're going to need more procedures. They're not going to work quite as well. And they're still going to age faster than the individual who's doing the procedures and taking away the aging force of the sun, right? Like that's the best thing. That's what I do for myself. Look how pale I am, right? Like I'm not out without a hat and everything else because it's so much easier to stop it than to fix it.
But we can fix it.
We can. No, we really can. Totally.
So on that note though, what is your favorite thing for sunspots? Because I was recommending, I'm like, well, I think it's IPL.
Yeah. For me, right. So so one of the things that you have talked about in some of your other podcasts is like, I am not the adopter of the newest thing. My joke with my patients is like, listen, the laser company is not going to make money off of me, and they're not going to make money off of me testing things on you. Like you, my patients, are not the guinea pigs for anyone. I'm going to buy things after I know I can make it work and I can give you a predictable outcome. And so there's always something new. There's always something hot. And like I read about them and I'm excited that there's always, advancement in dermatology, but IPL has been around for a really long time. The technology has continued to improve, but for red and for brown, for a little bit of downtime, IPL is really hard to beat. And
and the price, and like price wise, it's pretty
Yes, but the thing that you have to know is that any device is only as good as the person using it, right? So 90% of IPLs done in this country are not done by physicians. They're done by physician extenders. And those individuals, some are incredibly talented, some are less experienced, but their settings are hamstringed by their supervisor, right? So when somebody comes to see me, it is not a cheap IPL, but I tell them you will see a 50% improvement from a single treatment being done by a physician. I'm being assisted by an RN. Like, this is like big time. And I would say most people who get IPLs, they buy it as a package of 3 to 5, and there's a mid-level provider doing them. And that's not necessarily bad, but IPL does have a very high, one of the highest rates of complications, because if you get IPL when you're tan, you're going to get a blister.
Right.
Like, there are some things that you need to make sure that your provider is thinking about to get you good results.
So for you, is it like a one-off that you do? Mm-hmm. Yeah, one. Because somebody asked me that, and I'm like, because they were like, how many do I need to do? And I remember, I haven't done an IPL in a while now, but I went to, and I can't even remember the doctor. I got it done once. Yeah. And I see now, and then I went on and I was like, is it done in series? I actually recommended somebody called Dr. Jessica Weiser, because I know her office, and I was like, you should call Dr. Jessica Weiser. And you actually just told me that you...
Jessica and I trained together. I'm actually older than Jessica. I was her chief resident at Columbia. But she's a very smart girl, and I would call her too. I'm curious, I don't know if you're talking about it, but who is your dermatologist?
Dr. Samer Jabber.
Okay.
I love him. He's just, I've been going to him for a long, long time, and love him. But yes, but I've also gotten to see, I've gotten to work with Dr. Weiser. So, being in this business, I get to meet a lot of wonderful people.
And there's a lot of wonderful dermatologists in your neck of the woods, right? I train there. And so Complete Skin MD, Ellen Marmer, like, there's so many good, capable people there who are doing their own lasering and but anyways, so when I treat someone's face, I say it's one treatment, one and done, unless you're really damaged. Face, neck, and chest, arms, body, no, you can't crank it because that skin doesn't heal as quickly. So really, once you get off the face, when you're doing necks and chest, it's really a 2 to 3 time to clear you up. And then annually, I usually do one face, neck, and chest just to keep everything looking pretty.
So is there any, I feel like now we've gone to sunspots, but is there any damage or danger in like overdoing it?
So no, there is danger in overdoing any singular procedure. And we've seen that. We've seen the people with too big of cheeks, but like leathery skin, or we've seen the person where their skin is like porcelain and has like really, really shiny and has no pores and like no personality. And, the person with the big cheeks has too much filler and hasn't done anything else. The person with the like almost scar-like skin has been aggressively lasered over and over and over again, and other aspects haven't been addressed. So with a good partner in crime, with a good dermatologist leading you down the example of what you can do, it really is about variation.
Right.
You do need is a strong word, but if you want to look good and slow the aging process, a little bit of Botox, a little bit of filler, a little bit of lasering addresses all the different things that happen with aging and slows it down without changing your natural aesthetic, right? The goal is just to look like you, just to age slower than maybe you would have otherwise.
Right. Totally. Okay. So procedures then, like in-office procedures are obviously going to give you in general, the greatest results.
Exactly. So
for the money. Yeah.
So let's say you go and get lasered and you spend the money and you get a resurfacing, and then you're told to use ointment. The most commonly recommended ointment to use after lasering is Aquaphor, right? Everyone tells you to use Aquaphor. Pediatricians, dermatologists. Aquaphor is petroleum and lanolin. Lanolin is sheep sweat, right? So it is what is used to condition the wool on sheep. It is a natural ingredient that the most recent study showed 29% of kids are developing allergies to, and that's actually 40% if they have eczema. So but we're being told to put lanolin on our nipples when they're cracked when you're breastfeeding. Lanolin has never been shown to help the skin heal any better than plain petroleum jelly. And yet there's a huge risk of allergic reaction. And what happened to me is I was told to use Aquaphor after lasering, and I lasered someone, I put Aquaphor on their face, and they got a horrible reaction. So this person just spent all of this money getting their face lasered, and then you're doing something to them that is increasing the complication rate afterwards, inhibiting the healing, and maybe making it so they don't have as good of an outcome, right? So that to me is unacceptable. So when you're getting a procedure done, A, you want to have the right procedure, but B, you want to use the right products afterwards to make sure you're not undoing what you just paid all this money to have done. And that's where there really is there was a white space in the world of dermatology and the world of beauty, is that people were dermatologists, as a general rule, don't spend that much time thinking about products. So they're like, oh, use whatever you want, or just make sure you put sunscreen on, or don't get any sun. But they aren't telling their customers, like, what does that mean? What kind of sunscreen can I use safely on my open skin? And that's the other thing, is the skin, when it's intact, keeps out like 99% of what you put on it. Once you damage it, once you laser it, once you inject it, there's holes in the skin. And so now all of a sudden, chemicals that used to not be a problem are going to be a problem because you're absorbing so much more of them. And so we really have to be meticulous in both our treatment, and which I would say we are, like, we're all OCD and very meticulous about our treatments. But then also we as dermatologists need to up our game and educate people what they can use in their time of need afterwards to make sure they aren't causing problems. And so that's where products happen.
Yeah. If people are having problems with petroleum, what is the thing to use then?
Yeah, so great question. So what I tell people is plain petroleum is probably safe. The problem with petroleum is that your body cannot absorb it. So it's just like a protective shell, but it doesn't aid in the healing process. I, 5 years ago, launched a product called Restore Healing Balm as an alternative to petroleum. And my product only has 3 ingredients in it. It has castor oil, castor wax, and glycerin. And the way I equate it is, it's sort of like if you were on a desert island, you would need food, shelter, and water. And when your skin is healing, it needs food, shelter, and water. And the castor oil is the food. The castor wax is the shelter. It's sort of like the petroleum. It sits on top and keeps it from your skin from drying out. And then it needs food. It needs water, and the water is the glycerin. And glycerin is this incredibly powerful humectant that actually pulls water out of the air and into your skin, particularly while it's healing. And the skin cannot heal itself if it is dried out, which is why you should always put a Band-Aid on a cut or a scrape. You want to keep the water there. The water level has to be high enough so that the skin cells or the keratinocytes can divide, move into place, and heal your skin. So what my product does is it provides the 3 different things your skin needs to heal without any allergens, without any chemicals that absorb into you or your body. Everything's biodegradable. It's all food grade. But what we've shown is there was a study done actually in New York where people had aggressive CO2 lasering, and they put Aquaphor on one side of their face and they put Restore Healing Balm on the other side of their face. And everyone healed faster, had less redness, had fewer complications on the Restore side of their face. So like, it works. There are better options than petroleum or than Aquaphor. And so that's what sort of started this whole game. I was like, what can I make to make things better for people? And that's what the balm is. But while we're talking about cuts and scrapes and injuries and scarring, also we're all told to put like neomycin or neosporin, polysporin. Yeah, like it is $1 billion industry, and that has been over the counter for 50 years. And what people don't understand is that right now, like neosporin, polysporin, the bacteria resistant to that is over 50%. So it's more likely it's not going to kill a bacteria than it is going to kill a bacteria. But in addition to that, those antibiotics are incredibly common allergens, and they can cause anaphylaxis. They can cause all sorts of horrible things. So really, in my mind, they should be taken off the market. They're not killing bacteria, and they're causing allergic reactions. But because the U.S. is driven by sales, guess what? It's a moneymaker. So no one's taking it off the market.
So, by the way, I had no idea that that's why we put on, I have Neosporin in my cabinet. Whenever I have a cut and a scrape, I mean, since I've been a baby, that's what we've been putting on. I just thought it helped in the healing. I had no idea that there was like an antibiotic or an antiseptic capability to it.
Yeah,
so
it has like polymyxin B or polysporin or neomycin. They all have these over-the-counter antibiotics in them.
Right.
And And that's why they're supposed to help heal. So it's just petroleum and then these common allergens that used to kill bacteria and don't anymore because it's been so widely used.
Right.
So, but the reaction to them are getting stronger and stronger. They're considered top 100 allergens. Like they just should be thrown away.
I literally this morning was at the allergist. I don't know. You can't even tell anymore because I know I did okay. It was mold, but it was weird because the control didn't really. So anyway, I did the arm test. I'm highly allergic to most antibiotics. So I was really there to see again if penicillin was something that I've been told since I was a baby I was allergic to. And I don't know. I've got to go back for like they call it the challenge test.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but so far so good. He was like, so far they did like an injection. They did the skin prick, the injection. And then, so anyway, this is big deal to me because I know as somebody who has, I'm not really sensitive skin, but I'm allergic to a lot of antibiotics. I had no idea that was something to be concerned about.
And unfortunately, every decade, our skin gets more sensitive. So like women who have been super lucky, like wait until your 50s, honey. Like fundamentally, some of us are born with sensitive skin and some of us get to sensitive skin. But that's the other problem is as we're aging, we're told, oh, you got to use this, you got to use that, you got to use this. And at that same time, our epidermis is getting thinner as we age. It's turning over more slowly and things that we used to tolerate. And like, I see this all the time. People come like, I've been using this cream forever. It's never been a problem. And now they have like, irritation all around their eyes. I'm like, well, it's a problem now.
Yeah.
Like it
and
is.
also combinations of products can be problematic. I use this on my lips and I've been using it on my cuticles. I have to say, and this is no BS about it. I was sent this as part of the New Beauty thing. And I bite my lips all the time. I talk about it all the time. And I've been using this on my lips. It's amazing. It really is. So kudos. What else can you use it on?
So you can use it on everything, but I would say the Restore Healing Balm should be the first thing you go to when something's going wrong with your skin. So if you get a sunburn, if you have a rash, if your skin feels dry, like if you aren't sure what's going on, honestly, this probably fix it. It also helps on scars.
Does it help on scars?
Yeah, it does. It helps on scars during the healing process. Once the scar is healed, so once it's a closed wound, then you go to silicone.
Can I ask you now? Yeah. So my plastic surgeon, because everybody now at this point knows I had my boobs done and we're 3 weeks out. But he was like, don't start anything, don't put anything on them until 6 weeks. Do you disagree?
I do. So sorry to all the plastic surgeons out there. I'm now going to be offensive. So in general, plastic surgeons, I believe, are taught don't mess with scars. Like oftentimes they don't want you to laser them for a year. They don't want you to put anything on them until 6 weeks. And dermatologists and in dermatology data, there is some very convincing arguments against that. So when I do surgery on someone's face for a skin cancer, I laser it that day before I put the top stitches in so that the normal skin and the scar tissue skin are turning over together and it immediately airbrushes the scars. Then I have them use Restore Healing Balm until the scar is closed and the stitches are out. Then I switch them to silicone strips if it's on the body or silicone gel if it's on the face. And then at a month, I laser them again. And after that, I keep going till the scar is gone. And when you do it, you can really make things fade. But if you wait a year, you can't do it. You have to get it when the scar is really, really active and remodeling. So you have to hit it early and often. So I always want to defer to the surgeon, but if it were my boobs, I would have silicone strips on right now.
Great. Okay, so we'll talk about that. I just ordered some. They were freaking expensive though from Biodermis.
The Silogen ones are my favorite. The Bioderm ones are good too. But you just, and like what's so great about it is
Silogen, how much are those? Because the Biodermis ones were $400.
Okay, that's insane. The Silogen ones are like $50.
Oh, good. So then, okay, great. I'll go with Silogen.
Go with Silogen and you can put them on. And what they do is they protect your like scars from being rubbed by, like on my right shoulder, I had surgery. And so like right here, I used my Silogen and like my bra strap wouldn't rub against it. So it just kept it from getting inflamed, right? You can leave them on for 5-6 days and then they'll just peel off. You wash them, let them air dry, and then you can slap them back on. And it really does provide like a protective cocoon for the scar while it's healing. It keeps that evaporation from happening that we're talking about, how the skin does better when it stays moist. So the whole point of silicone is that it is like that protective layer, like the Vaseline or like the castor wax in my products, where it just keeps that water level up so that this body can do what it wants to do in the best possible environment.
I love this. So, okay. Because I want to talk to you a little bit more about like things that you feel like are, we're talking about price. Let's look at like some of like the products on the market, right? There's like I think about like the Batera Essence or like, La Mer cream.
So this is one of these things where I feel pretty strongly that you shouldn't spend over $100 on a product unless there are medical studies to support what it's doing. So La Mer people love, and like there's this component where buying something nice for yourself feels good. And like, I want to support people feeling like they're doing self-care. That being said, if I was going to be spending that much money on a face cream, I wouldn't be buying La Mer. And the reason for that is La Mer's like 2 out of its first 3 ingredients are petroleum. So like you're spending all this money for something that is not expensive to make, but is, just become, and that's what people have to understand is that the beauty industry is driven by sales. It's driven not by outcomes, but by making money. And so what people do is they want to put something in a pretty bottle and they want it to smell good and they want to make people feel good about using it with the cheapest ingredients possible. Right. And the cheapest ingredients possible are primarily petroleum based. And like La Mer is an older product. So like it says mineral oil, it says petroleum like in the ingredient list. But then also as you go further down, what makes something luxurious? The way it smells. And like almost all high-end products have fragrance in them. And it's the same products, the same fragrance, because there is a association for us about a certain smell and it being luxurious. But those fragrances all are allergens.
Irritants, right?
Really, what you're doing is you're spending $180 on a product that's petroleum and common irritants. And yes, it has seaweed extract in it, and maybe seaweed extract does something for some individuals, but it hasn't been proven. It hasn't been studied. It's not vitamin C. It's not retinol. It is not a known ingredient. It's not niacinamide. So it doesn't make sense to me. Then and now over like the last 10 years, there has been like progress on this and there have been newer products but they still are making the same mistakes, right? So like on the Augustinus butter, like that's the new hot cream, right? And that's $260. But it also like,
I haven't even heard of it. What was it?
It's Augustinus butter.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard about that one yet.
It's the new La Mer, right?
Got it.
It too, like the names are slightly different, but it's pentylene glycol. That's a petroleum-based ingredient, and that's still in the top 3. So really, like most skincare products are filled. They have either like there's something called PEGs, or there's these polyethylenes or the polypropylenes, and there's the and then there's carbamers and all of these, and that's acrylic acid. So these are all just synthetic ingredients that are whipped up that feel good, that don't do anything for you. And so that's really the majority of the high-end products, which is why like if you're going to spend $300 on a product, like have it have peptides in it, have it have like from the like I don't know, but like TNS, right? Those growth factors come from like circumcised skin, right? Like that's just where it comes from. But there's data there. So if you have that kind of money, go get the stuff that actually has data to support it.
Okay, so you're talking about the Skin Medica TNS serum? That one?
And they just have a new one. Yep. And Sente has a great one that has other peptides in it called heparin sulfate. But like these things have studies where they can say, we can show you that it actually slows the inflammation and like helps with fine lines and wrinkles. And like, great, spend your money on that. Now, does that have ingredients in it like dyes and fragrance and maybe even like parabens? Yes. But so do these other ones that you can buy at Neiman Marcus, but you might as well get the one that's going to do something for you if you're going to expose yourself to those chemicals. That's the way I feel about it.
I love that. We just had a podcast with the founders of Hero, which is they were 2 stem cell researchers who were studying for trying to figure out osteoarthritis. And they discovered this molecule, and one of their peers, they were peer reviewed, and somebody said, you should apply this to skincare, not just to joints. And they found they've got all of this clinical data that they have available online that showed, and it was a peptide molecule that was really sort of kickstarted the skin to be at its most active regenerative phase.
That's cool. And like, there are billions of dollars being spent on research on those sorts of things. And like every 6 months, is there a new peptide I'm trying? Yeah, for sure. And like, I joke that those are where I get my bad ingredients. But in general, like, what the problem is, and like I'm sort of segueing here, but for example, parabens, like there's a lot of talk about parabens and phthalates, and they're outlawed in the EU, they're allowed in the United States. In our ingredients, parabens are a preservative, which are incredibly low percentages. So if all you were doing were using one skincare product once a day with a little bit of paraben in it, it probably wouldn't make a lick of difference. But the problem is that it's accumulating. And we have been using these products all over our body for decades, if not at this point, almost a century, it's been out in the market. And so we're not at low percentages anymore. We're accumulating in us. And there are pretty convincing data now that it does affect our estrogen pathway. And so is paraben in the 0.05% dangerous? Probably not, but that's not how we're exposing ourselves to it anymore. We're covering our whole bodies with it on a regular basis. So my feeling is like, if this product is really going to help slow the aging process, help with fine lines, promote cell turnover, and there's a little bit of paraben in it, I might allow that on my face. But on my body products, like I want nothing. Like I sort of really try to limit my exposure. It's sort of like, perfect is the enemy of good. You can't avoid everything toxic all the time. And if you try, you'll make yourself completely insane. Instead, you're like, is it worth it? Like, is it worth, is it worth, like, it's sort of like now with COVID, is it worth hanging out with this person or is it not?
Right. Like, well said. And sometimes it's been kind of nice because you're like, you know what? I just don't feel safe. Also, I can't stand you.
But like, that's what it comes down to is like, is this product A, worth the money? B, does it give you what you want out of it? Does it give you the outcome you want, that it's worth the risk, or does it not? And most of the expensive over-counter products out there, to me, aren't worth the risk and don't give you the outcome that you want.
And I love that you said, listen, if you've got buckets of money and money is not an option, then by all means go and do it. But if you're looking for results, that $200 might be better spent. Save it for, 5 products and go get the laser to really deliver some effective results.
Exactly. Like you would go through, usually you go through your face cream in 3 months. Let's say you're paying $200 on that, right? So that right there is $800 that you just spent on face cream in the year. You can get a nice lasering for that.
Yeah, which is
and
great.
That's more for you. But the other thing is that let's say you're using retinol every night, right? You wash your face, you use your retinol, and then you put on one of these expensive products with irritating ingredients, with fragrance, for the other things. That's going to make it less likely you're going to be able to tolerate the retinol.
Right.
Because the retinol makes your skin a little bit more sensitive. And then you put this on and then you get irritated and then you're not getting the benefits of the retinol. So if you're going to use these active ingredients, the retinol, the alpha hydroxy acid, then you want to follow it with a moisturizer that's just going to help your skin deal with the actives you've given it. And like that's, well, yeah, so that's my ointment, but like that's the reason why I have a face cream and a face lotion is that, and it's about giving people things that are only going to help and not making these claims where like it improves the appearance of fine lines. Or what the hell does that mean, right? What works are the laser treatments and the seeing the dermatologist and these few active ingredients. Everything else really should only help make those products work better. And
right.
In your time of need, or where you're wearing a mask on your face and your face is just irritated already because you had a stressful day, or because it's rubbed by the mask, or just because you drank coffee all day and didn't get any sleep, your skin needs to rest just like you do. And so you need the equivalent of the cozy chamomile cup of tea. Like you just sometimes need to give your skin a break. And that's what my products are. My products are like those things you can count on when you're like, I just need a day off. Let's just calm things down and like provide a little food and a little bit of comfort for your skin. And it's amazing how hard it is to find that out there. Everything is claiming it's either sparkly and looks good on Instagram, or it's claiming it's going to like change the world of your skin. And it's not going to do either of those things. All it's going to do is irritate your skin and make it so you feel worse about yourself. And that's the tragedy of it.
So, I want to ask you, in addition to your own line, is there like a medium priced or is there another line that you feel like, for people who might not have, well, I guess everybody now has access to the internet and can get your
Yeah.
products, but is there another line that you feel like has some good R&D behind it, or that you kind of feel like, what, here's a good option?
So, yes and no. It comes down to how picky are you, and if you want things you want. So let's talk about my brand first, and then we'll go from there. My brand, I am incredibly um, militant, I think is the correct word. Every ingredient has to be plant-based, biodegradable, as well as hypoallergenic, and be in the products for a specific reason. There is nothing in any of my products that isn't serving a purpose. And my manufacturer jokes with me. He's like, everyone wants to say that they have 100 ingredients and you want there to be 3. And I'm like, yep, right. I'm not like, because having 100 ingredients, like if you have 0.02% of 14 different things, it's going to do nothing for your skin.
Nothing for you. Yeah.
So I want the highest possible percentages of the safe active ingredients that have been shown to help. Like I have a very high percentage of squalene and niacinamide and these things that are helpful, and I have no fillers.
Right.
So my products are safe, meaning that everything is hypoallergenic. They're smart, meaning that I only choose ingredients that have data behind them. They are selective in the fact that I don't allow any excess go in there. I'm militant about what goes in there, and I'm always cutting ingredients. And then they're like, it won't stay together, Heather. You need to put something in.
Right. Something in
and
there, yeah.
And then lastly, they're sustainable. So my packaging, my ingredients are all green. In fact, everything's recyclable and everything's biodegradable. There isn't another skincare brand that meets those criteria.
Got it. Fair.
So there isn't. And I don't, and like there's some progress, there are some things coming out there, but if all of those things are important to you, that's the reason why I was compelled
to do this. Yeah.
Well, let's say you don't care about it being sustainable. You just want it to be smart and effective ingredients. I do think that there are some very smart companies out there. And one of the ones that has been making some pretty good things is it's called Skin Better. It's a terrible name. But Skin Better. but they have some really good active ingredients with good data behind it. They have a great vitamin C serum. They have a great retinol. They have a great alpha hydroxy acid. They also have a bunch of products that I believe are BS, like their face creams and their face washes. But they have some actives that are awesome. A company that's actually based out of Seattle, Paula's Choice. Paula was.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, like don't go to the cosmetic cop without me. Like really
I feel like Paula's Choice was like the original, like that got everybody started on like knowing what's in their products. Yeah,
exactly. And I think she deserves a shout out for that she really did start educating people about look at what your ingredients are. Same thing, environmentally friendly? No, but is she fragrant free? Yes. Does she like talk about what her ingredients do? Yes. But does she have 40 plus ingredients in every one of her products? Typically, no. Yes. So it is but Paula's Choice is pretty darn affordable, and there's a lot of different options, and it's readily available. My products are medium of the road and readily available. And then like Skin Better are pretty expensive because they have these studies behind them. But the problem is most skincare companies just are like, oh, I need to have 50 different options. I need to tell people they need to use an eye cream and a face cream and an essence and a toner. And that's wrong. That's a disservice to your customer. A good face cream can be your eye cream. You don't need an essence. Toner should only be used when you actually want to exfoliate something. And so there's just this mixed messages where it goes from maybe a smaller company to a larger company, and then the bottom line becomes more and more important. And so you have to keep churning, you have to keep making income. And so you have to create a need that really isn't there. And that creating a need that isn't there is actually doing a disservice to the individual who doesn't know better.
I'm obsessed with you, by the way. Thank you like so much, because, again, this is why I started this podcast, was so that people like yourselves could come on, who have the education, who have years of training, who are seeing patients every single day, and who've created lines and really understand the chemistry, can help us understand better, the things, and also so that we can be better consumers. We're never, like I said, if you are a fan of La Mer, I know Ryan used to that was his thing, and you've got the money to spend, by all means do it. If you're looking for results, to my friends who just called me the other day for freckles, IPL, And you're not going to get the same results in a bottle that you will in a laser. And it doesn't mean that you won't get results with things in a bottle over time. You just have to manage your expectations.
Yes, completely. So, and you need to get, and like something that I'm doing, and I as you can see, like I'm not somebody who spends a lot of time with creating the perfect video, but I have had a lot of requests, and like every week there's Ask Dr. Rogers, and I answer these sorts of questions because it is so confusing out there. And I have a YouTube channel where I'm like, this should be your morning routine and this should be your evening routine, not to recommend specific products, but to just get people comfortable with the concepts of what's reality and versus what's just the buzz that's created because it's fall and somebody needs to push a new product. And so I do feel like if we can empower the consumer to then make an educated decision for themselves, great. That's really, and like the whole point is we all just got to do the best by for ourselves or what's important to us. And, I believe fragrance should be in candles and in perfume. I don't think it should be in any products. I know there are plenty of people out there who cannot wake up in the morning without some wonderful smelling bath wash. So you just got to pick what it is that you need. But, hopefully by further education, people can make a more accurate choice. And it's just like when someone comes in for a procedure, like this is the expected outcome. This is the thing that can go right. This is the thing that might go wrong. And you need to know that before we go down this road. And unfortunately, that kind of consenting doesn't happen in the skincare industry. And so I really feel like it's my job to help people educate themselves.
So where can people find you? Or what's the best way to find your videos and also your
Dr.
products?
Rogers. So Dr. Rogers, but doctor spelled out. So it's Dr.Rogers on Instagram. It's Dr. Rogers is my website. YouTube is Dr. Rogers. The only thing that's special about it is that doctor is spelled out. And we have newsletters with information. So people, if they go to our website, you can sign up, and every week we send out a newsletter, and I always have a tip in there being like, hey, this is what you're seeing in the news. This is what I think about it. Like I really try to provide information about skincare. And then also let people just DM us questions. And then every week I have a list of questions. I sit down and be like, okay, guys, everyone's asking about this. Let's talk about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on with me today. This has been so incredible. We have to bring you back because I feel like you and I could go on and on about this all day long.
I know, we didn't even get to do scars.
I know, I'm going to bring you back on for scars to talk about scars.
I love scars. 40% of what I do is fixing people's scars, and it's so empowering to help people move past their scars. And that's a wonderful thing to talk about too.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Rogers. And of course, if you guys have any questions you want us to pass along, you can always do that. hello@ArtBeautyPodcast. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.